What is up, homies? We are live on location, okay, here in beautiful rural Arizona, to recap how the picks have gone so far.
I'm talking to you though. You're the stats guy. Yeah, you're the stats guy, and we're the homies.
So far the standings are Diane very firmly in first place. Greg just overtook Algo for second place. Algo's also just lost its 500 status. And Nikki very, very firmly in last place. So I just want quick off the dome reactions to our standings. I'm going to do my reaction first, which is, what the fuck? Because fucking Algo is like 58% on the season, which would be good enough for second place, like easily good enough for second place if it translated to the 4 picks. But the 4 picks, it just hasn't translated. So I'm a little mad.
What is it, the entire overall the games?
58. Is it 58%? Okay. Yeah, it's at 58%. And for some reason, just the smaller sample skewed worse for Algo. So that's my reaction. Okay.
Very good stats lesson.
Oh, no, it actually is like the most interesting stats lesson to take away from this is if you have, now let's talk about normal distributions.
Yeah, your sample's not big enough.
If you have a small sample,
represent the population.
Exactly. It doesn't represent the population. That's beautiful. Beautifully said. Nikki, reaction, go.
Beautiful dogs.
I'm not surprised at how bad I've been doing because I've probably watched 3 football games in its entirety this season. And I have not put any thought into my picks. I've looked at the wins and losses and been like, that team might win. I don't know who's the quarterback. I don't know who the players are. I don't know who's injured. I thought Brock Purdy was going to take it, honestly, but apparently he's been doing bad because everyone on his team is injured and I had no idea. So that's why I kept picking him.
Yeah. That's fair take.
I literally have zero knowledge on football and my picks were the girls' picks. It's for the girls.
Yeah. And you're not doing that bad. Well, you're doing pretty bad.
Like 29%.
Okay. Greg.
I'm really frustrated with where I'm at.
Not even 500, I don't think.
Greg, how much time do you invest into watching football?
I mean, I watch like every Sunday. Like I follow I know all the players, right? So it's really the part that has really been screwing me, I think, is like I cannot figure out the Cardinals or the Bears. Like the Bears went on a run there, but I don't want to trust them. And like now, that's out the window. So that's regardless. I won't pick them again this year. But then, like the Cards, like they were awful to start the year. Like you gave up on them so fast, and then like they're coming out beating the crap out of some teams. And like, where did this come? Like they're a frisky team that some would call a stay away. You know, like. And then the Cowboys are just a dumpster fire too. And then these random games are just so hard, which is the point of the extra game. It's a good matchup typically, or it's a poop bowl. But either way, it's hard to pick. So yeah, I'm not pumped about it. I think it is interesting though that like I'm kind of right on the line with Algo for our section of picks, and like I'm reacting to like injuries and matchups and home field and the spread. Whereas Algo's just straight up taking, what is it, the winning percentage?
So I did actually want to talk about that. So Algo is purely based off of variables that are available from last season.
Yeah, this is like the stock market when they tell you not to try to play it. Like you got to be really, really good. You're gonna get the same result. I'm the same result here of trying to play it. It's not like I'm trying to react to how this season is going and like. Teams given situations,
and it's just as good as
it's literally just as good as last season's winning percentage.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's very frustrating. And then my mom's killing it. Diane's on point.
She's getting lucky.
No. So this is my follow-up question that I need you to go more in depth with. What do you know about her preparation and her level of knowledge and staying up to date with all this?
So I know she watches it and like she's in on like fantasy and stuff. So like she's good there. Like she follows it enough to like know when random people are hurt, but like the kind of like game to game injuries she won't necessarily call. So like that's where I think her minor slip ups are. Like I think in reality, if she was like locked in enough, like with whatever her logic is for picking, and then combines that with like as much as I follow it, she'd be like 80 or 90%. Like it'd be unreal of like, because
Yeah.
like she's on it on like all the good games, not overthinking it, and just like follows it really well. And then it's like those one or two like flyer games that like are decided by an injury, a key injury.
The mid-camping shopping trip concluded and they came back, so that's why we cut.
Very excited.
We were talking about Diane. We were talking about her dominance. Nikki looked like she had something to say. Are you mad that an older woman is beating you?
Whoa! Whoa!
That was so mean. I apologize. Diane, if you can't tell, I'm a little salty that you're kicking my ass.
Yeah, you're proving his algorithm wrong.
You're saying this is like Moneyball or no, this is like Trouble with the Curve where it's the old guy with the I keep saying old, that's so mean. It's like, Clint Eastwood and he's like, oh, I can hear the curveball, blah blah blah, and the guy's like, no, the stats, and in the end Clint Eastwood wins because
I think this is a valid like analogy, but you are saying my mother is as old as Clint Eastwood, who's like on his deathbed right now.
Diane, you're a beautiful, vibrant young woman.
Just cut that part out.
I don't think.
Yeah, put down the shovel, my man.
Okay. Anyway, she's kicking our asses.
Yep.
Enough said about that, I guess. Okay, so the new format. We will now be picking every single game, usually 14 or 15 games. And so far...
But we're still slotting out our 4 to continue that through the season.
But we're still slotting out our 4 to continue.
Yeah, that's not fair to Diane, dude. She's been kicking our ass. She needs to keep her lead in something. So
No. This is my thought was... I'm glad we're talking about it. My thought was new season.
Nah, dude. She'll be
Halfway
pissed.
new season. I know she'll be pissed, but she's already doing better. She's still in the lead.
So you're saying like she won the first thing.
She won.
And
Season
now
1
Season 2
is done. She won by a long shot. Season 2 is here.
I mean, we can still also track it in our hearts.
Yeah.
We're in week 10.
No.
We're making week 11 picks.
Yeah.
Week 11 picks.
So this is over half of the season.
Yeah. Week 10 and week 11 are week 1 and 2.
We already did
the
week
second
10,
half.
right?
We already did week 10.
Yeah.
We're doing week 11 now.
This is really organized.
Here's the thing. It's
the
good.
teleprompter is going great.
For this week, it is going to be honor
Flashcards.
system. You guys need to make all your picks without looking at results, please.
Without looking at results?
Yeah,
They haven't
tomorrow.
happened yet. We
I
can
know.
make them today.
Oh, you're right. We could just write them down. That's a good
Today's
point.
Saturday.
That's a fantastic point. Okay, cool. We'll just do that then. No honor code necessary. I'm excited. Now, I'm worried that Diane is dominant, period, and that she's just going to dominate. But I will say that it is for some reason, and I did want to talk about this a little bit, harder for Algo to pick the Cowboys, Cardinals, Cowboys, Cardinals, Bears games. And I think I know why. Because, like we said, it's about last season. The variables are based on last season. Cowboys suck compared to where they were last year.
Right.
They definitely got worse. Cardinals, I have no idea. You're going to have to
You
tell
can
me.
never guess.
And the Bears got better.
Allegedly.
No, they got better.
Yeah, no, they are they have a lot more talent, yeah. Collectively. That's where I'll leave it.
What do you think of Caleb? This is a tangent. What do you think of Caleb? He's on my fantasy team. I have not been paying attention. He doesn't start.
He's had a rough couple of weeks. I'm excited about the firing of Waldron, but I mean, like, there's things to be worried about. Like, obviously, you want him to be doing better, especially when the other 3 rookies have been having some pretty good success. I'll go on a Jaden Daniels tangent against teams above 500 if you want. But I think, like, if you watch the game, like, he's got so much on him for a rookie, like, whereas, like, Bo Nix has, like, training wheels with training wheels on. Like, Caleb's calling protections at the line, identifying things at the line, like, calling audibles. They'll run a string of plays. They're bad plays, but, like, they'll call 3 plays in the huddle and, like, run a thing. Like, they're doing hurry up. He is advanced in that point, but, like, he's also not getting his life, like, made easy. It's very...
Does he have support? Does he have good support?
I think his receivers are talented. They are not getting open, and I would like to blame that on the scheme, but that's probably naive. I think, like, if you really want the deep dive, like, I think it's we're past the point where Keenan Allen deserves to be the number 2, and so he can't win on the outside, so he has to play on the inside. But like Rome Odunze would tear up playing in the slot, and so he's being forced to play at like a lesser position, so he's getting less reps. Where Cole Kmet has like 2 targets in like 4 games, it's ridiculous. The O line is Swiss cheese, like it's not great. It's just piecewise together. It's not as prolific of a situation for a number 1 pick as we all proclaimed going into the season. We'll see, man. I'm not worried about him specifically. I think he's playing too safe, and he doesn't have much time. There's issues with him holding the ball too long, but I think that's by play design, whereas last year, like with Fields, it was because he couldn't read past read 1, and I think Caleb is trying to read all the way through 5, and that's just it's not going to work. So
On the Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will get murdered by the Packers. I will call that now. Sneak peek into the picks here. That wasn't obvious.
I have 2 follow-up questions. One is, we'll do this one first. Nikki, you've been following the Cardinals.
Loosely, yeah.
Loosely, okay, but you've been following better than anybody.
I've watched the first 3 games, and they were trash, and then every single game after that I did not watch. They have been winning, so.
So diagnose them. Like, what do you, like, how's K1? You know what I mean?
I think that the deal with Call of Duty actually improved his play. Ever since he signed with Call of Duty, he's actually been playing really good. I think people have doubted him. There's a lot of K1 haters, like there always will be. Yeah. But I think like he's now, I mean, at least from what I've seen and the clips I've seen, he's starting to, work into his own and develop his own career and take the sport actually seriously. And maybe he's been lucky, and that's kind of like how the plays have always been with K1. But I think that he's maturing a lot in the sport, so I'm happy with him.
Yeah.
As for everyone else on the team, Marvin Harris, I'm sure, right?
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Harrison Jr., close enough. See, I don't know anything, but I think I've seen him. He's been doing some good plays, and then as far as James Conner, he's always consistent. So, but after over everything else, I have no idea how well they're doing. Do you diagnose?
No, Connor's been a huge bright spot, which isn't news. He's been good since he's been there. But he's been really good this year. I do think they're relatively beatable. Like when they play good teams, they can kind of put Kyler in a box and not let him run and create, which is where he really excels. But you are right. He's taken a step and kind of had some ownership, and just he looks better. The team looks better. Defense needs some work. I think too with Marvin Harrison, he's had some inconsistent weeks. Even if you just look at fantasy or whatever, but I think he's pulling a lot of attention away from the rest of the team, which is really huge. So
and all the other guys are mid. They're not great superstars. So I mean, right?
Yeah.
Having the attraction on him, it's you're taking one player out, and then you have 3 other guys that you can go to that are okay and will catch the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, my last question, and this is more of a general football question. Are we in an era where your wide receiver 1 plays in the slot because that's the most effective, impactful place for a wide receiver 1 to play? I think yes.
Can you explain what the slot is?
So in a typical setup, and I've been playing a lot of college football 25. A lot of college football 25. So and we only play pistol, we don't play shotgun. So typically you have 2 receivers on the outsides, the very outmost receivers. That's old school, that's your wide receiver 1 and 2.
You have an X and a Z. They usually are lined up on the numbers.
And they're your 1 and 2 on your depth chart. And then your third guy is kind of maybe he could be on the outside, but we put him in the slot because slot is inside of the outermost receiver.
So they run a straighten in across or a straighten out?
Well, they have their own route tree. They're a full route tree. You can run pretty much any route, but it just... You're playing more in the middle of the field as opposed to, and you're playing more against linebackers if they're in zones, and you're playing more against safeties as opposed to cornerbacks who are typically more geared for one-on-one matchup.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what was your question?
Are we in an era?
I don't know if we heard any of Nikki's thing. But
What?
Keep going. I wasn't home.
What was your question?
Oh, should wide receiver ones, should they just line up in the slot? I mean, it just seems like that's where defenses are more open right now, the way that they're schemed up.
Did Fitzgerald play in the slot?
He
moved around.
He moved around, yeah. But he did, towards the end of his career, he did play slot a lot.
I think your best receivers do their best work on the outside. Like Justin Jefferson is the one of one in the NFL right now. He's always open. It doesn't matter where you line him up. Now, to kind of contradict myself, I was listening to Nate Tice earlier this week, and he was showing an example of like the McVay tree. So the Sean McVay, like the guys that have come from him in the NFL and run their offenses. And it was one of the things he pointed out from like the next gen stats is if you look at overall width of your formation, the smaller the width, the like the shortest widths of formation in the NFL was like McVay. It was like the Vikings, the guy in I think Carolina now. So it's all like these McVay tree guys, and then like Shane Waldron. He was on a Bears podcast I was listening to, and they were saying that like Waldron, who is technically a McVay guy, they're like 26th and like super unsuccessful. And the reason that it's really successful to have these like tight formations is because you can run a lot of different disguises out of them. So like the Rams are really successful with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua because you can like you create this like conflict point for defenses where you don't know who's the one, who's the two, who's the three. So I think the argument, like, yes, the slot people are like someone like Cooper Kupp is really effective out of the slot, but it's more or less when you're disguising a lot of things and like to your guys' point, like you have more room to run this like full route tree when you're closer into inside the field. But I don't necessarily think like you need to have your number one receiver in the slot per se. Like I think it's more or less just like the way you scheme the offense and like design the offense.
And where like basketball has become positionless, you just put people where their skills are best suited. I agree with that. I really agree with that. Like, yeah, there are slot guys and there are outside guys, and JJ's both, and he's the best at everything. So that's awesome. All right, last thing that we're going to end on is this will be a quick hitter. Predictions for how part 2 of this season of predictions is going to go. I think I believe in Algo. I think Algo's going to be 1. I think Diane's going to be 2. She's already off to a hot start. I think it'll cool off. I think Greg is going to be vying for that number 2 spot, and I think Nikki, unfortunately, will continue her bad streak.
You know, because you have bad faith in me, I think I'm going to win. I'm shooting for the moon.
Do you want to put some money on that?
Yeah, if I put money on that, I'm going to be studying the game. No, I think, I don't think Algo's going to win. I think Diane's going to finish up pretty well. I will go Diane, Algo, Greg, but Algo and Greg are going to be flip-flopping. And then I'm going to be scooting in last place at like 35%.
Beautiful. So improvement.
Improvement. Right now I'm like 25% or something. Less than?
Greg.
Part of me wants to, like, I want to be confident in myself because I think with more games, there's a lot of like easy games out there. So I feel like overall my percentage will improve, but then I know myself. So that's a problem. And then I think I think the algo will improve. Like obviously we know it will because it's been doing better. But I think like just from general statistics, it'll have more games to get right. And I don't know if there's a lot of parity between last year and this year, as much as we thought at least.
No.
I think overall everyone will improve slightly because you have a little more swings at the plate. I don't really think the order is going to matter. I think it'll be Algo 1 and then any mixture of us behind it.
Because the problem is it's been really consistent at like 58, 59%. So the question is, can Diane sustain, and can you guys make up those 12 extra points?
Well, yeah, and like there could be room there. There could be room to do that with like a team like the Cowboys, right? Because like Dak's probably out for the year, and like they were really good last year, and they're not this year. So like they're like games like that, you might be able to make it up, but I mean, who knows, man?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for part 2.
I have a question. Are the stats resetting now? So, or am I gonna have to remake up all the games that I've lost? Like,
No, you're starting.
No.
So it's
New
not-
season. Week 10
week
was
10
the
is
first
week one.
one. It was 0-0 week 10, and now it's not 0-0 anymore, but it restarted. Yes.
Okay.
Good questions. All right. That's all. Once again, we are live on location, and we will see you.
This is literally
Off
it's
location.
literally a recording.
Oh, you're right. This is
It's
off.
off location.
It's nothing about that statement was true. This is literally a recording.
We're not live.
and we are not on location.
We're not live. We are off location, and we will not see you ever.